Alright guys, so this is our notes that we'll be taking about a function table. These are basically talking about our domain and range that we have and what we're going to be finding our inputs for these using our outputs, okay? So what I want you to do is be able to take your highlighter. And the first thing you need to do is we're going to highlight the X's because those are called my domain. We're going to call those right here, my inputs are called my domain. Okay, those are also called my X. My next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this X right here. So I know that's my domain. And so what I'm trying to do is, what a function table does, just like that video we watched the other day about the machines, I want to put in a function, an input that I have into my function, wherever I have an X at, and I'm going to get out an output or my range. Okay, so let me show you how we did one. So the first thing here, I've got 8 times x plus 5. And so what I'm going to do is I've got 8. I'm going to call the x now a negative 4. And I put in what is a negative 4, so I can highlight this. So I have 8 times negative 4 plus 5. And that's going to answer equal something, or my range. So I can pull out my calculator here. I can put it into my calculator here, so it's going to be 8 times negative 4 plus 5, and I get my range to be negative 27. There it is, right there. So my range there is negative 27. I do another one here, okay? Do the same thing. I'm going to use 8 times x plus 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm now calling x not negative 4 this time, but I'm calling it negative 2. So that's my new domain. This is a function. Remember, I can't repeat my domains. So I'm never going to use a negative 4 again. So I'm going to use a negative 2 now. So 8 times negative 2 plus 5. Put it into my calculator here. So 8 times negative 2 plus 5. And it gives me the answer to be negative 11 for my range, or my output. Okay? Now, my next domain, since this is a function, I will never use negative 2 again now. I'm calling him 1. So I'm going to put it in for an x. Wherever I have x, I'm going to call it 1. So I'm going to do 8 times 1 plus 5. So the new name is x, for x is 1. So it's 8 times 1 equals plus 5. So I'm going to put it in my calculator. That's 8 times 1 plus 5. I get my answer to be 13. Okay? Now, I want you to be able to do this with me. I want you to be able to write your ordered pairs. I know that negative 4 and negative 27 go together as an ordered pair. I know my domain here, negative 2 and negative 11, go together as an ordered pair. And I know my domain here is 1 and 13, they go together as an ordered pair. And right there is what I've got. Okay? So I've used my function table to come up with my range in this case. To be able to figure that out. And I wrote it out in my ordered pairs. Domain, range. Domain, range. Domain, range. And I can use these later, we'll see, to graph it to see what it looks like. Okay? So that's all we're doing. So let's look at the second one here real quick with you. Here's the second one. Do my same thing again. It says I want to find all the outputs for each input. So remember, input is domain, output is range. Okay, and I want to highlight all my domains. I know he's x. And it looks like I have an x right here. He's x squared. There's my function. 4 times x squared. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing. It's called substitution. I'm now going to call x negative 3, and I'm putting him in right here. So now this is 4 times x squared. X now is negative 3, so it's 4 times negative 3 squared. So I put him in my calculator. It's 4 times negative 3 squared. Should put parentheses around that because it's a negative, excuse me. You can see there, what I get there is 30, right there, what I get is 36 for my range. Okay? I do the next one. Since it's a function, I will never use -3 again. I will use a 0 this time. You can pick whatever number you want. Just can't use -3 now. So the name for x now is 0. It goes in here. There it is. 4 times 0 squared. So I can highlight that because that's my domain that went in right there. 4 times 0 squared gives me 0. So my range now is 0. Let's try another one. My domain now is 4. My new domain is 4 for my range. For my function. So I put it in now. 4 times 4, because that's what x is now, is 4. 4 times 4 squared. That's 4 times 4 squared. And you can see here, I get 64. And I can write my ordered pairs now. -3, 36. 0, 0, and 4, 64. Okay? Alright, so my next one here, I'm going to flip over, take my page, I'm going to flip over here. I got 2 more examples I want to do with you. Okay, same thing again. I want to find the output, which is my range for each domain. So I know this is my domain, this is my x, this is my range. Okay, so I'm going to put them in there, highlight these bad guys, highlight my x, and let's just fill them in. Okay, these are the names I'm calling x. So this is 5 times x plus 3. And now x is -6. So it's going to be 5 times -6 plus 3. Okay, the next one here. I now am calling x -3. So it's going to be 5 times x plus 3. So now it changes to 5 times -3 plus 3. Those are my domains that I put in. I substitute them in. Okay, the last one here is going to be 5. Got my x here, which I'm now calling 3. 5 times 3 plus 3. And it's going to give me my range. So when I do these on my calculator here, 5 times -6 plus 3 gives me -27. The next one there is going to be 5 times -3 plus 3 gives me -12. And then the last one, 5 times 3 plus 3 gives me 18. There are my ordered pairs. -6 goes with the domain, the range -27. -3 goes with -12. And 3 goes with my range 18. Remember, domain, range, domain, range, domain, range. This right here is my function. I just plug them in and it tells me what I've got. Okay? One last one that I have here for you. I'm going to have you do too on your own here, is this one here. Okay, I've got my input rule and my output. It's my domain, it's my range. Highlight these bad guys, plug it in. Try to find out what my output is. So I know my rule is 3 times x squared. And I'm calling x -2, 0, and 5. So I'm going to do my first one. When I call it -2, it's going to be 3 times -2 parentheses squared. Put that right on my calculator. 3 times parentheses -2 squared. Every time I got parentheses and a square, I got the parentheses around it. It gives me 12. So my output there is 12. So I got -2, 12. Do the next one when I call it 0. So it's going to be 3 times 0 squared. 3 times 0 is 0 squared. 0 times 0 is 0. So my ordered pair there is 0, 0. And my last one here is I'm going to put a 5 in for my x. So my rule is 3 times x squared. So now my x is 5. So it's going to be 3 times 5 squared. And I can put that in my calculator. 3 times 5 squared gives me 75. So my ordered pair there is 3. My ordered pair there is 5, 75. There's my domains. There are my ranges. All I'm doing is plugging those in and I get my answer. These are my ordered pairs. I can graph those later and actually see what this looks like. It actually is going to show me a picture. Okay, that's what a function table does. It shows me how the change goes throughout, just like that machine, that video we watched. Okay, so go back and look at these notes because you are going to be doing these two on this page. You're going to do number 1 right here. This is yours. I know. Okay, just give you a little hint. There, make sure you highlight these. Show me where your domain is. Put it in there. That's 3 times x minus 4. So now x is -2. That's 3 times -2 minus 4. You can pull out your calculator. It's 3 times -2 minus 4 gives me -10. And now I need to write my ordered pair. Domain, range, -2, -10. Put it down right there. Okay? So this is what I want to see you do on this one on your own. The next one you got to do on your own is the same way here. Okay? You've got these right here. There's your ordered pair. There's your domains right there. We're going to put these in. So this is 2 times x minus 3. I'm calling x now -2. So this is going to be 2 times -2 minus 3. Remember that x now is -2. So 2 times -2 minus 3 gives me -7. Right there it is. So my ordered pair now is -2, -7. And what I want you to do at the end of this is graph those, and you'll see it look, you can graph them right here on your graph at the end. So -2, -7 would be somewhere here. You're going to graph those points. Just graph them on here, these. Okay? This is the only one you need to graph. So those are how you do those on your own. When you finish with these, then you will need to go to the function. You will need to raise your hand, tell me when you finish these, I'll check them, and then there will be your other activity that you will need to do. Okay? Thanks.